All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lost Minds podcast. My name is Emily, and we are back today with an episode about Roe v. Wade and it being overturned this past week. You may notice that Anthony is not with me. He is out of town. So I am doing this episode by myself, which will be very interesting. I'm a little nervous. So go easy on me in the comments. But yeah, we're going to jump right into it because this is a huge topic. I think that this is just going to probably be me rambling and ranting about everything that's been going on over the last week. But that's okay. We're here to kind of like vent, talk about how we're feeling about things, and that's exactly what we should do. So, let's jump into it. If you didn't know, Roe v. Wade was overturned last week. I think it was it might have been Friday. So that was a really big thing. I think it was Friday because I explicitly remember it being the end of the week. But yes, Roe v. Wade was officially overturned by the Supreme Court, which caused a lot of outrage in, the world, in this country specifically. You had a lot of folks like protesting and out in the Capitol the same day. A lot of them had protests planned for 5 p.m. that day, regardless of whatever day it was. It was decision day, and they had already made Facebook events and all these different things to promote these protests that were going to be happening. So a lot of those things already did happen on the day of, and it was just wild. You had a lot of liberals who were super pissed off about this, rightfully so. I mean, I'm very pissed off about this. I'm feeling really conflicted because personally, as like a woman, given I am a cisgender woman, but a woman in myself, I think that, this is obviously a little bit scary. And I think, I can see where people are getting frustrated and I can see where people are being radicalized by this. I don't ever want to shame someone into, not radicalizing themselves. I don't want anyone to feel like this is not something to radicalize yourself over. I do hope that it radicalizes people, and I think it is. I've seen a few videos of people, talking about not voting for Democrats anymore. I will probably show them, actually. I'll try to find them. But there's a video of Beto O'Rourke at a rally, and they're chanting something about not being able to trust the Democrats. And then there's another video of um, a woman who was talking on a news broadcast about getting a text from the Biden campaign about the about fundraising for Roe and support of Roe for the Democrats. So I'm also going to try to find that, and maybe we can watch those two videos together today, because those are the big ones that I've seen and would like to unpack. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of upheaval. There's a lot of anger, rightfully so, again. But, for me, I think the biggest frustration, and especially for even Anthony too, is it's like, I was mad before this. I was pissed before this. I was radicalized before this. I was saddened by by this country. I was disappointed in our actions towards our own people. I was angry. I was pissed. I was sad. I was scared. I've been seeing a lot of people who are quite privileged, I will frankly say, who I went to college with, who have nice jobs now, who don't have to worry about a lot of things, and who are generally more on the liberal to like old lefty side of politics, be very over the top about this, as if like this is what should cause us to not trust our democracy. This is what should cause us to not, believe that there's hope for the future. And I think that that is a little bit privileged and detached from what's going on in the world and what has been going on in the world for so long. So I definitely think that that's been very frustrating for me because, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, this is such an awful thing. Like, how are you feeling? Are you okay? And it's just like, yeah, like at this point, I'm kind of numb. Like, I'm kind of numb to the shit that goes on in this country and to the way that our citizens are treated. I'm pissed off that people don't have access to food. I'm pissed off that people don't have access to a house, that people don't have healthcare in this country. This is not what made me not believe in democracy. You know what I mean? This is like, or believe in our democracy, that it still existed. So I think that that's what's been the most frustrating thing, even for friends of mine. Like, I'm not talking about people who are, out there that I'm not even attached with. Like, there are friends of mine who are doing the same things, and it's just like frustrating, I guess. It's really frustrating, I think, sometimes. And I think a lot of us can probably relate to this, to be the person who is so aware of everything that's going on. I had friends texting me on Friday with the Roe v. Wade thing and saying, like, oh, you're plugged into organizing. When's the next protest? Like, where can I protest what's going on? Do you have any resources? And it's like, yeah, I do. But like, also, can you step up and do a little bit more of that? Because being someone who's always on top of all the political things can be really overwhelming and really disheartening to just be the person that always has to sit with that and kind of like tell people that this is what's going to happen, and then be disappointed when people, choose to not listen to you, gaslight you, and tell you that you're crazy. And then, it happens, and then you have to sit there and be like, well, I can't say I told you so, because then I'll hurt people's feelings, but also I told you so. And so, yeah, I think that this is a really complicated time for me. And I think for a lot of lefties who like knew this was going to happen and knew that at some point, folks would be radicalized. Like, I knew that folks would be radicalized over, I've been saying it for the last few weeks, that people are going to naturally gravitate towards third parties, and they're going to become naturally radicalized because of everything that's going to happen as our empire continues to collapse. And I think we were right about that. I mean, people are really starting to get pissed off and are really starting to address like not wanting the Democrats to, be their source of hope anymore and giving up on that. So I actually want to show a few videos and then see if, we can unpack that a little bit more, because I think that's the biggest takeaway from this. I think that, we can't go back and change what has happened. It's happened. And so now we have to see where we move forward and how we move forward together with this. So I will kind of unpack that after, but I do have a video I'd like to share. It's an Anna Kasparian video of a woman who is talking about the Roe v. Wade decision and getting a text message from the Biden campaign asking for money towards the campaign, and talking about how Democrats need to do something about it. So yeah, we're gonna watch this video of a woman talking in a news article or a news segment, and talking about how she got a text message from the Biden campaign about donating some money to protect reproductive rights. And yeah, it's just really telling of where folks are at right now with all this stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and share that. But man, is it crazy. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this. Yes, it is Anna Kasparian's page. It's how I found it. I don't follow Anna Kasparian, but that's how I found this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it, and then we'll unpack it in just a sec. Let me try to go back here, and then we'll go ahead and play this.
For abortion rights. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Zoe, talk to me for abortion rights. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Zoe, talk to me first about why it is you wanted to come out here today, because something that struck me was when you were speaking earlier and you mentioned your anger because you had received a text message from the Biden campaign. Why is that?
So I received a text message from Joe Biden's campaign yesterday saying that the Supreme Court had overturned Roe versus Wade, and that it was my responsibility to then rush $15 to the Democratic National Party. And I thought that was absolutely outrageous, because my rights should not be a fundraising point for them, or a campaigning point. They have had multiple opportunities to codify Roe into law over the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they haven't done it. And if they're going to keep campaigning on this point, they should actually do something about it.
What are you most worried about, Julia?
So yeah, there it is. I really liked what she said. I think that like we can all agree with that, but I think that people, it should not have taken this to show people that this is what they do. I mean, they do this on a number of issues. They've had multiple times to bring Medicare for all for a floor vote. The progressives have had multiple times to support Medicare for all, to abolish ICE, to bring all these things into a block and do these things, and they're choosing to not do so. And I think people are really good at identifying issues without understanding the theory or the practical aspects of it at all, especially liberals. So I think she had a great assessment there. But I think it's tough to like see people just now waking up about this stuff. But regardless, glad that people are radicalizing themselves and getting out of the Democratic Party and doing a Dem exit and hopefully doing an exit of the two-party system. Yeah, I want to unpack it a little bit because, yes, I think that a lot of people right now are going after the GOP. They're going after Republicans. They're going after the evangelical right because they're the ones that have pushed this forward. This is their fault. They've done this to us. This is of their doing. Are they happy that this happened? Kind of like a "are you happy now" reaction to it. And it's like, well, yes, of course they are. And I don't want to minimize their role in it. But I think also, again, when it comes to specifically politicians, not even the evangelical right as like citizens of this country who are absolutely brainwashed into believing these nonsense ideas, I think as far as politicians specifically that are pushing this and getting this pushed forward, and Supreme Court justices, they're all in on this game. And I want to talk specifically about codifying Roe because people are forgetting that Democrats have really had 20, 30, 40, 50 years, as she said, to codify Roe. Obama promised to do it. Joe Biden promised to do it. The progressives ran on abortion rights. All Democrats have ran on abortion rights. Okay. And they've chosen to not do anything about it. So I think that it's really telling that people are now starting to see that. But I also think that people need to realize this is all planned out. This is all a game. I don't necessarily think that, Democrats were in on this specifically. What I do think, though, is that they thought that this was going to be a good thing for them. I think they thought this was going to have the opposite effect of what it is actually having now, which is that, they thought that people were going to come out and vote for them. And I have seen tweets and, Facebook posts and everything of folks that I know saying, we need to vote for Democrats now. We need to do it more than ever. You need to vote more now than ever. And yeah, that's just not the assessment that's correct, right? But I think that, they thought that's the way it was going to go for the majority of people. And unfortunately, they got that backfired on them. Where now it's like, yeah, no, actually, we're pissed at you because you've had the opportunity and you haven't done anything about it. And, you're continuing to not do anything about it. And I think that people are starting to see that. So I think that it's a great thing that people are starting to see the Democratic Party's game and how they do the things that they do and why they do the things that they do. So I think that, that's what the assessment is. So I want to show a tweet, and of course now I'm not going to be able to find it. So I might just have to read it off, and then I'll make sure that I put the pictures up on the screen when I edit this video. But I posted some stuff on my Instagram stories the other day that I really want to read off and kind of assess with everyone because I think they're really important. The first one I actually can pull up and share screen so that y'all can see it, but I found some really funny memes that I think are really telling into this part. And I just want to, kind of clarify, I guess, by saying that I don't think that Democrats necessarily had a part in this explicitly. I do think that they thought this was going to go in their favor. And I think now they have people who are, pissed at them, who don't want to vote for them. And I think it's backfiring on them in a really awful way. But I also think that this is the kind of stuff that they're trying to push forward so that they can regulate more parts of our lives continuously and push us into the brink of wanting to be so angry that we try to do something about it, which is why they've ramped up the police budgets. It's why they're taking away citizens' guns. It's why they're doing things to unarm us so that we can't protect ourselves and so that we feel so hopeless that we'll do something about it and they can actually physically harm us. I don't think that they give a shit about our bodies, about our lives. And that's my biggest worry is that, people, and I've seen people already getting attacked from police and riot gear over this. So it's definitely scary. But I want to share this one tweet that I put out there when it happened on the day of. And I found this this Instagram post, on Instagram. Was super funny. Follow this page. They've been putting some great content up. But it says Democrats be like, please vote for us and chip in $25 to help save abortion rights. My brother in Christ, you could have codified Roe into law, passed the bill at any point in the last few decades, but chose not to do because it served your purposes to be able to hold abortion as a leverage over disaffected Democratic voters. Protecting Roe is what you used to hold us hostage. You used it for fundraising and you used it to bring people out to vote who might bring people out to vote who might otherwise have not. That's a really weird way to say that. Abortion is and has always been a class issue. Those in power will always have access to it. Yes, and it's also a race issue. It's a class issue. It's a race issue. But I think for people in power, like, of course, AOC and the progressives and any woman of color in Congress doesn't have to worry about that. They will always have access to abortion. And they don't have to worry about you having access to abortion. There's also some really good tweets here, too, of folks. The legacy of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer will always be allowing Roe v. Wade to fail or to fall, which is absolutely true. And yeah, there's a few things. Make no mistake, the Republican Party will not stop at overturning Roe. The stakes of November's elections couldn't not be higher. Voters will make their voices heard by electing Democrats up and down the ballot, which, again, this is literally, what is this? 2 days after Roe v. Wade fell. And this is what they're tweeting. Even someone here right behind, right underneath it. Here we go at the Democrats rolling out that empty promise again, like clockwork. And again, nothing will fundamentally change. Like blue sheep, the electorate will trot happily, blindly along, and nothing will fundamentally change. DNC, the GOP is too dangerous right now. If we defeat them, we can work toward progressive change next election. That's awesome. I love that. And then someone says, why vote for a party that continuously refuses to exercise its power when given multiple mandates from the electorate? Voting blue is a waste of time. I love it. I absolutely love it. And then we have this too from Savage Joy. I love this. Hey libs, you said you'd riot over Roe if Roe got overturned, which I love because you don't see them rioting. I wish they would. And then you have LAPD throwing women to the ground who are protesting Roe v. Wade. So fuck the police, along with this issue. So yeah, I'm going to stop sharing there, but I have a few more tweets that I kind of want to mention and talk about a little bit. Because they're fantastic. And I think it really helps me sum up where I stand on this point. Republicans, this one is from @KateWillett, and it says, Republicans are criminalizing abortion and Democrats are responding by calling for more and better paid cops. Which we just saw. These cops, these budget bills that they've put out, increasing the military budget, increasing the police budget, AOC and the squad, continuing to vote for that, is a direct result of people that are out protesting the Roe v. Wade decision. It's a direct result of them getting tear gassed and violently brutalized and abused. Don't forget that. Democrats did that. Also, never forget that Roe v. Wade fell under a Democratic supermajority. Do not forget that. Do not let anyone let you forget that. Stay strong on that and tell everyone that you know about that. One says, in order for nonviolence to work, your opponent must have a conscience. The United States has none. That is a quote. Kwame Ture. So great quote. Another one says, the law will never hold the white supremacist settler state accountable because it would have to destroy itself. You can't work within the system. The people who make our laws will never hold themselves accountable to this white supremacist, misogynistic, absolutely disgusting system that they've created. They would have to literally destroy themselves, and they will never do that. They will never risk their comfortability to save us. Never. We have to take care of ourselves. There's a difference between an inconsequential left and a consequential right. The difference is that they both do the same things, but one says they don't. That is I'm not even going to say. I don't want to pronounce it wrong. But that's a great quote. And that's exactly what's going on here. We're hearing everyone scream about this consequential right, this awful, terrible GOP who doesn't give a shit about you and your rights and your life and your bodily autonomy. And you have to vote for Democrats because that's the only way out of this situation, or else the right is going to absolutely destroy this country. Well, the inconsequential left has done nothing. If they would have codified Roe into law, we wouldn't be sitting here today talking about this. Regardless of what the GOP has done, we wouldn't be talking about this if they had codified Roe into law. They chose not to. It's just as dangerous. They both do the same things, but one pretends that they don't. And the most sad part about it is that people actually fall for it and still fall for it and still are falling for it. I think that that's the saddest part about it is like, it's great that you have some people who are changing their mind over this, who are learning from this. You also have a lot of people who aren't, and that's the saddest part about it. The war on our bodies is not going to be won by pleading that the ruling class starts caring for us. It will be won through a socialist revolution. Genuine reproductive rights and healthcare can only exist in a society that values us over our ability to generate profit. And that's exactly right, too. I wanted to bring up that, a lot of times abortions access to abortion is very difficult as well. Unless you have a Planned Parenthood around you, abortions are expensive. They get expensive, okay? And there are also a lot of places that don't have Planned Parenthoods around them. So, just the fact that we also don't have universal health care is an issue in and of itself. Universal health care, Medicare for all, would provide reproductive health care to people who need it for free at point of service. No copays, deductibles, any cost at all to you to be able to have an abortion. So that's just one other situation here. We live in a society that doesn't value us being cared for, doesn't care about our lives, doesn't care about our health. And so we're never going to have, the war on our bodies won by trying to convince the ruling class to care about us, because they don't. The overturning of Roe v. Wade is a state-sanctioned violence. We don't have time for the slew of think pieces and hot takes. This is the ringing alarm that if we can't commit to organizing and building mass movements, we simply will not build the power necessary to protect our rights. And that goes along for so many other issues. That is not just Roe v. Wade. We need to commit to organizing, and we need to commit to organizing our communities into being safe for ourselves. We need to make our communities safe. We need to give people access to healthcare free at the point of service on our own in our communities. We need to give people access to abortion, give people access to food, shelter, a thriving, livable future through mutual aid, because people aren't going to do this for us. This one says, never forget that abortion rights were overturned during a Democratic presidency, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate. Never let anyone tell you that didn't happen. Never forget about that. Always bring it up, because they did this during the Obama administration. And we can't let them do that again, because that kind of cognitive dissonance is the reason why we are here today with Obama's presidency. Radicalization is an appropriate response to your rights being stripped away. Don't let anyone else convince you otherwise. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I think the lesson here that people need to start learning is, this is not the only situation that you're going to have to radicalize yourself. Sorry. I'm sorry that Alex Jones and the right made it absolutely, disgusting for most people to be like radicalized. That's like not a great thing to be seen as nowadays. But it's not a bad thing to radicalize yourself. It's actually a great thing to radicalize yourself. And please continue to do so, and do so whenever you learn new things. Change your mind when you're presented with new information. This one says, please do not reward Democrats on their failure to codify Roe v. Wade by donating to them today. You're better off donating to an abortion fund. It's probably a better use of your money. And I don't even think abortion fund is probably the best use of your money. I think that any mutual aid effort that's like we're literally going to send someone money right now to go get an abortion, do that. Don't donate to Planned Parenthood, don't donate to any of these giant corporate nonprofits. Just donate to a mutual aid fund, donate to a abortion fund. If this was about babies, there would be universal health care, free education, free daycare. Southern states would be doing all they can to drop the Black maternal mortality rate. This is about power and control, and it absolutely is, and that's exactly what they do. They've been doing it. They've been exerting their power and control over us, and to be quite frank, 90% of the people who are mad about Roe have allowed that shit to happen and have given them the opportunity to feel that they are allowed to have that power over us. Let's choose differently next time. This one says, I keep thinking about how with the 2 months notice that the ruling was coming that the Democrats had, the Democratic controlled Congress not only didn't codify abortion rights, but overwhelmingly passed a security bill protecting these SCOTUS judges and the bills that they had passed prior last year in the summer to ramp up the Capitol Police budget, to ramp up police budgets in general, and to increase military budgets are exactly the reason why they did this as well. They are going to continue doing shit like this, and they're doing it so that we can't fight back without fear of our lives. Pelosi is reading a poem. House Democrats are singing God Bless America, and Biden's on TV telling protesters not to threaten or intimidate while using riot cops and snipers to threaten and intimidate the public. Yeah, I'd say Democrats are down with fascist USA. Duh, where have you been? Like that, those are the types of tweets that really just irk me. It's like, yes, and I'm so glad you're getting it now. But like get your shit together for the future, because this is not the last time it's gonna happen. And if I have to be called crazy or gaslit one more freaking time because y'all don't want to actually listen to what we have to say and you're not going to learn from this situation, I'm going to legit check out. Like I cannot. Yeah, that's a big portion of all the pieces that I wanted to share, but some really great stuff there. There was also one that was like, I voted in 2016, I voted in 2018, I voted in 2020, and now you're expecting me to vote in 2022? Like, no. And also people came out in droves, and absolutely just so many people came out for Joe Biden in 2020. Like they absolutely cannot tell you that you didn't do enough. They cannot tell you that you are not doing enough. One of the messages that I shared earlier on Facebook today too, it says if Trump had won in 2020, they'd be telling us that electing Biden could have stopped this. Which is so true. It is so true. Oh my gosh. That is such a real thing. So I also reposted, this was the tweet. 2008, vote for us, we'll codify Roe, day 1. 2012, no really, this time we will. 2008, vote for us, we'll enact a federal $15 minimum wage. 2020, no, this time, and we will codify Roe. 2022, if you don't vote for us, we can't codify Roe, guys. And then someone tweeted behind, or the same person tweeted underneath it, Republican voters are just as easily manipulated, in quotes. That's amazing. I love people for like waking up and actually talking. I think the most like happy thing, I'm like the thing that I'm a little bit happy about is that like it's not taboo to post these things anymore. It used to be really taboo for me to post this stuff on Facebook, and now everyone's posting it, and I'm like, yes, success. I share this thing as well. It says, if only we had voted harder. This is Ian Matchett, one of my previous coworkers, and honestly, a really big mentor of mine, a role model. He's great. That was sarcasm, but and yeah, like there's just been shit too. Like I saw a tweet about Obama earlier. I feel like I don't know where it is now. But I also have a post by Woke Scientist I wanted to just share with y'all. There's a few different like points that they made in an Instagram post at Woke Scientists on Instagram. The first one is don't turn to politicians as your savers. They will exploit you when you're at your lowest and most vulnerable. The second is the Democrats never deliver on abortion, healthcare, loan forgiveness, and never meet your basic survival needs because they need to dangle it in front of you as bait to get you to vote in every election and maintain their power. Which is exactly right. That's exactly right. Don't be a neoliberal. Number 3, don't be a neoliberal who jumps into movements when they're trending to increase your social capital. Go to a couple of city-approved protests, post some black squares / scripts to call politicians, etc., only to go back to your life when the wave has passed. Number 4, consistently build across community solidarity between multiple disenfranchised working class communities, mutual aid infrastructure, and constructing dual power community-based alternatives to meet our needs without relying on the state. That is what will save us. Absolutely. Number 5, the state and capitalism leverage power over you with hopes that you are trapped in learned helplessness. Oh, yes, this is exactly what we talked about with the shock doctrine just a few weeks ago. How hopeless you may feel in these moments is not a reflection of power we collectively hold to enable change. All empires will fall. This will too. Let these moments radicalize you. Yes. Do not use your politics to leverage moral superiority over others. Question why you hold the political beliefs you do, and if you really understand how they work in practice beyond the echo chambers of social media. Question if you apply your politics to day as you show up in the world, because there is much for us to learn that we don't know. There is no single point of arrival where you will just be radical. It's a daily intentional practice. Yes. And I think the last one is, in these moments, politicians appeal to you because the oppressed have a tendency to always turn to some form of authority to tell them what to do. You are part of building the solutions. You are also a part of building community infrastructure. The state cannot crush a decentralized rebellion because they cannot target us everywhere all at once, but we can be everywhere all at once. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. Let go of your beliefs that existing power structures, politicians, and the state will save you. Appealing to their non-existent conscience is futile. Use your own empathy and conscience to build solidarity with other people in your community and build non-human entities in your ecosystem. Only we will save us. No one else will. Yeah. So that's my assessment. We've been going for a little over 30 minutes, but I think that's largely my assessment of this is that, let this radicalize you. Let this help, talk to people about this. Especially if you are listening to this network, you are probably already someone who doesn't believe in the two-party system. So go talk to someone that you don't know. If you see someone post something on Instagram that's a little bit cringy, let this be a moment of radicalization for them. Bring up these moments and point out the fact that there's been multiple times where Dems have had a supermajority and have chosen to not codify Roe. The reason that we're in this situation is not because of Republicans, it's because of Democrats and their absolute they're cowards. They're calculated. And honestly, don't even say they're cowards because that may make people feel bad for them. They are calculated. They know exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it on purpose. I've said this over and over again that Democrats are fundraisers and Republicans are legislators, and that's exactly what it is. It's if that is not this is not a perfect example of that, I don't know what is. And this is also a perfect example of the ratchet effect. The right is always trying to push things to the right, and the left is never letting things go to the left. It's holding that line. So bring that up with people. Talk to people about that. Yeah, let this be a moment of radicalization for folks. The Democrats are not coming to save us. We need to build mutual aid networks. Democrats, the Republicans, honestly, quite frankly, any political party, I don't really believe in personally. But we come to this network as lost minds with the mindset that exiting the two-party system is important, and it is the next step. And that is to go find structures of communities and build structures in your communities that can help you, where you can help each other, where you can stand in solidarity with each other, where you can build structures of power, of healing, of care, of hope within your communities, because you're not going to find that in a politician's campaign. You're not going to find that in the White House. You're not going to find that in the Congress. And you're sure as hell not going to find that in the Supreme Court. So with that, I would like to end off our segment today. I really deeply appreciate y'all for listening. It's been a crazy week, or weekend, I guess, just dealing with all of the things that have happened. Personally, I don't want children. I'm dealing with some health issues right now where I would really love to get off birth control. But that might not happen because a lot of doctors will not do sterilization surgeries on either men or women. Unless you're married or you've already had kids. So we're struggling with that. And so this does definitely scare me. I won't lie. Like, we live in Michigan. Right now, there's an injunction that's holding abortion in place. But that could be taken away at any moment. So they're working on a ballot initiative to change our constitution, our state constitution. But yeah, and I don't, it only sucks because I will stay on my birth control if I have to, but I really just don't want to. And I think it's causing me a lot of health issues. So that's unfortunate, but I won't have a kid. I will do anything to avoid having a child. So, yeah, it's definitely a scary time for me. I've been a little bit numb. I don't feel like I've fully processed it. And I've kind of just been trying to protect myself because this is just another added on thing on top of what I've already been, exposed to and dealing with. That I'm just trying to navigate. So, yeah, with that, I think I'm going to end off this segment. Talk to people that build communities of, build relationships with people in your community and your neighbors and your friends and get people together. And that's the only way that we're going to get out of this hellhole and we're going to survive this collapse. I want to plug March for Medicare for All. Yet again, I do believe that this is very related to reproductive rights because Medicare for All includes reproductive rights, free at the point of service, no deductibles, copays, premiums, all of those things. So definitely supporting Medicare for All is the way to go in the future of any successful social infrastructure through government. So we are having a National Day of Action in Washington, D.C. at Union Square, July 30th. Please join us. We would love to have you. We will also have various online actions being done throughout the week and also a week of action that will be happening in DC for folks that are on the ground and want to join us for the week of action, sign waving and chalking and banner drops and lots of more riskier things I can't talk about, but lots of great stuff coming our way. So please join us. I'm going to leave March for Medicare for All's website below so you can get more details. There's lots of group rates and also good rates for hotels plus camping in the area if you'd like to come. So please join us. We'd love to have you there. If not, and you'd like to contribute financially to the movement, I will leave the links below. Or if you would like to volunteer for your time for anything that's happening the week of or leading up to this action, we'd love to have you on our team. And yeah, I guess with that, I'm going to go ahead and go. Thank you all so much for tuning in. All the links of all the things are below. Mutual aid and the two-party system, our financial contribution page. So yeah, just let us know, what you think in the comments, subscribe to this channel and look out for the other episodes that will be on the channel later this week. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And next time I will be here with Anthony on next Tuesday. So looking forward to seeing y'all then. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Bye-bye.